Last night, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren held a rally in New York City. Trying to count people in a crowd like this is a little bit like trying to count drops of water in a bucket. Good luck. But the Warren campaign says as many as 20,000 people showed up for this speech. It was a darned lot of people. It maybe was the largest crowd size for any event yet for any Democratic candidate this whole year.
Is about the direction our America goes, not just for 4 years, but for generations to come. And yeah, there's a lot at stake in this election. And I know people are scared, but we can't choose a candidate we don't believe in just because we're too scared to do anything else. Democrats can't win if we're scared and looking backward. We win when we meet the moment. We win when we stand up for what is right. We win when we get out there and fight. I am not afraid. And you can't be afraid either. So if you're ready to fight, then join me.
Senator Warren last night at the biggest campaign event of her campaign thus far. Joining us now for the interview is Elizabeth Warren, Senator from Massachusetts, candidate in the Democratic primary. Senator, it's great to see you. Thank you.
It's good to be here.
I keep expecting you to be hoarse.
No.
You're fine.
No, I'm fine.
I have to ask you about the selfie line thing. I realize that this is now a thing that you do at every event, every town hall. Yep. You stay afterwards, you take pictures with everybody who wants a picture taken with you. Last night at that gigantic event, it was like 4 hours?
Yep, a little over.
I assume this is something you cannot do forever because of the amount of time that it takes, because of the energy it takes. Also, I imagine security concerns. I mean, are you thinking about that?
No.
Okay.
Because this is how I see it. Look, we know in this country what is broken. People know this. We've got a government that works better and better and better for a thinner and thinner slice at the top and is just not working for everyone else. We know what's broken. We know how to fix it. We've got to attack the corruption head on. We've got to make some structural changes in our economy, and we've got to protect our democracy. We know what we need to do. But the third part is we've got to build a grassroots movement to make it happen. And, you know, yeah, I was there 4 hours, but I'll tell you what, so was the last guy in line. And he's in. He's all the way in this fight. He's in to volunteer his hour. He's in to put in his $5 or his $25. He's in this to talk to everyone else and to bring more people into it. Because when things are as badly broken as they are right now, when we've got this much corruption right at the heart of our government, it's going to take a huge movement. It's going to take millions of people pushing from the outside. And it's going to take somebody leading from the inside to make the kind of big structural change we need to make.
And that was really the plot of your speech last night, talking about the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory and the fire there that killed over 140 women in 1911. I was struck by the parallel with the start of your campaign. You launched your campaign in Lawrence, Massachusetts at Everett Mills, right? Huge historic labor strike there in 1912. And so you've had these two sort of tentpole moments, 1911 and 1912. Is that because you see us as sort of, I mean, that was the time when the Gilded Age was yielding the Progressive Era.
Yes.
Do you see us in that kind of a transition again? Or is that what you're trying to make happen?
I see it as we have this moment in history that if we get out there and fight, we can turn it around. But it's not guaranteed. It really is about whether we get out and fight. And that's how I see pulling all these moments together. You know, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory, it is a story of power. It's about the power of the factory owners. Who knew There'd been one parade after another. There'd been one protest march after another. There'd been plenty of press about it, about the terrible conditions, the dangerous conditions in their factories. And then the moment came when over 140 people died in that fire, when Frances Perkins stood on the street and watched as one woman jumped to her death, and then another and another and another. In 18 minutes, 143 people died. Their bodies lying on the ground, their blood running into the gutters, people piled up at the fire exit that was locked because the owners were so worried that those workers might steal a scrap of cloth. But this time, the plan was different. It was to say, we're not just going to have one more protest. We're going to have a huge protest. We're going to build a grassroots movement from the outside. And at the same moment, we're going to have somebody leading it from the inside. And that was Frances Perkins. So think about this. 1911, you know what she does? Following this fire, she goes to to Albany. She's 30 years old. She goes to Albany. Remember, women can't even vote.
She couldn't vote at the time, right?
She could not vote. She shows up and she leads the fight from the inside. She gets appointed to a commission. They change the rules around fire, but that's not enough. She goes from fire safety to the labor laws, and New York State rewrites its labor laws top to bottom. Roosevelt becomes governor, then Roosevelt becomes president. And when Roosevelt is president, he brings Frances Perkins to be the first woman to be a cabinet secretary. She's Secretary of Labor. And here's how you see it. One very persistent woman backed up by millions of people. And what did they get done? Social Security, the minimum wage, unemployment insurance, the end of child labor, the very existence of the weekend, the right to join a union. It was a transformative moment that took two things, the fight from the outside and the fight from the inside, the leadership from the inside. We have that opportunity now. And too many people say, it's just too hard, we can't do it. But think of it this way. Here in America, we've engaged in big structural change before. We did it then. The suffragettes, they were told, too hard, give up now, right? The foot soldiers in the civil rights movement, too hard, give up now. The early union organizers, too hard, give up now. The LGBTQ activists, gosh, barely a decade ago, too hard, give up now. But they didn't give up. They got organized, they built a grassroots movement, they persisted, and they changed the course of American history.
How do you map that model of social change, of big structural change, as you say, to an electoral campaign for president? I mean, Frances Perkins was not running for president. She didn't have the right to vote when she was doing these things. Presidential campaigns now are about partisan mobilization, and they are about competition in the primary before you ever get to the general. How do those things map together?
No, I think it's there, because I think that's what this moment is. I think the reason 20,000 people showed up last night is 20,000 people are not only ready for change, they are so ready for change that they'll show up and get in the fight. They are so ready for change that they're saying, call on me. I will be part of this. That's why I say this is our moment. And we can't spend it afraid. We can't spend it under the covers. We can't spend it nibbling around the edges of whatever's broken. We have to use it as the moment to root out the corruption, the moment to make some big structural change, just a couple in this economy, to strengthen the rights of workers, give unions more power, make it easier to join a union, pass that 2-cent wealth tax so we can invest in our young people and cancel student loan debt and provide universal child care and protect our democracy. We make those changes, and then we got a government that doesn't just work for those at the top. It's a government that works for everyone.
Stay right there. We'll be right back with Senator Elizabeth Warren right after this.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.